Welcome everyone to our South Mountain Partnership spring meeting here in beautiful Oakside Community Park in Biglerville, and I believe Butler Township as well. So thank you all for coming out. My name is Tyler Semder. I am the DCNR, or Department of Conservation and Natural Resources internal lead for the South Mountain Partnership, one of DCNR's 8 conservation landscapes. I am not here alone though. Our South Mountain Partnership team is here. Katie Hess, our director, who you'll hear lots more from throughout the day, the back corner, and also our program manager, Julia Chain, who does a ton of legwork to make these events happen. So yes, if you want to clap. And we'll have signs for speakers, so yes. So we're really glad to be here with you all outdoors in this more natural, lovely setting, this awesome community space. We have a great lineup of speakers and information to share with you today. Our format's slightly different. Our morning will be our traditional spring partnership meeting. We have lunch, pre-ordered lunch for those who pre-registered and paid. And then after lunch, we have a Trail Coalition meeting. So it's a little bit different from what we normally do. A few housekeeping items. I believe everyone saw where the restrooms are. I don't think there are former structural restrooms, but I was out here last weekend with the kids scoping things out, and they were pretty clean, so hopefully they still are pretty clean. We definitely encourage dialogue and questions throughout. Questions, comments at any time, definitely raise your hand. We'd love to hear from you all, but definitely let us get a mic to you and also introduce yourself as well. And yes, there is birthday cake. I won't say whose birthday cake that is, but there's cake, and I think everyone should get cake. That's very important to me. And Julia, cake is extremely important. So now I was going to turn it over to DCNR Deputy Secretary, Dr. Claire Jantz, but I don't believe she is here yet. So we'll give her a minute. So equally as awesome, longtime supporter I know, Adams County Commissioner Randy File. So I'll turn it over.
Good morning, and welcome to Adams County on behalf of myself and my 2 colleagues, Commissioner Martin, who's not here today, and Commissioner Qualley, who you'll be hearing from in a few minutes. First of all, I'd like to say that we have been a long-time partner of the South Mountain Partnership, and we really appreciate that and the value and benefit it brings to the table for us. Thank you for being here. And first of all, a question. Does anybody realize it's not raining? It's not raining, okay? If anybody tells me that we're still low on rain, you know, I don't believe them, because I in my yard, I have some markers in there, and when the water lies in those pools, that means we are saturated. And for somebody who understands ground, I did the big reenactment for 25 years. And beginning the 1st of May, I look at the ground all the time, and I know when ground's saturated or not. And right now, we have a lot of water, so hopefully we now need some sunshine. Following me, I understand our senior planner, Rob Thaler, is going to discuss a little bit about our planning department, the diversity of it, but also the cohesiveness of it. You're going to hear that when this Board of Commissioners came on board, the planning department was sort of scattered all over the place. And when we came on board, we felt we needed to combine services and make it more efficient and even more effective. And I know at the time, some of our ag community and some of our staff, which Rob agreed with, had some raised eyebrows. But I'm happy to say that most of our planning department is located in our ag center, and it's worked out wonderfully. So I'm sure Rob will touch on that. Also, I understand, again, my fellow commissioner, Marty Qualley, is going to give some updates on his appointment to, I get this right, to the Local Government Advisory Committee of the Chesapeake Bay Program. And with that, he's certainly keeping our needs and our wants at the forefront. So again, welcome to Adams County. I had about 60 seconds. I think I took 80 seconds, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Commissioner File. And the continued commissioner support from Adams County, from multiple commissioners, and even across all of our 4 counties, York, Cumberland, Adams, Franklin. Sorry, Franklin. I'm thinking it was from Franklin here. equally awesome commissioner support, but thank you, Commissioner File, and thank you, Commissioner Marty Qualley. I also want to give out a shout out to our breakfast provider today. You probably saw those ridiculously amazing cups that are back there of sausage, strawberry, French toast stick, a donut, and I think a cookie. So Summer Creek Catering out of Greencastle, Kathy is the one who came in and did that. So I just thought I'd give her a shout out if you ever need something like that at your own event. Also a big thank you to our sponsors, Penn National Golf Course Community and Franklin County Visitors Bureau. So I think we have a few minutes if any of this, no sponsors? Okay, just shout out to them then. All right, we're rolling along. So this kind of starts the official beginning of our spring meeting program. As Commissioner File mentioned, we're going to have an Adams County spotlight where we're going to hear from the Planning Department, Destination Gettysburg, and I believe the Land Conservancy of Adams County. So Marty, are you kicking it off? All right.
Because, well, Claire Jantz was supposed. I see her. We're going to give her a minute to come in and collect herself because I was saying, well, maybe she's that motorcycle coming up. And then, and they went, oh, no, it might be her. She hasn't. But you should have told me that for the last introduction. That would have been cool. Tell me when you're ready to take this microphone, because otherwise, since you did forward your comments to me.
Yes, please take the microphone.
My joke was going to be she luckily she forwarded her comments to me, and I was also told not to curse, but I can't even tell that joke. So, Claire Jantz, Deputy Secretary at DCNR. I wasn't going to give you much time.
Sneak around it, yeah. No, thanks everyone, and sorry I'm late. I just need to ride faster, I guess. Thanks, Marty. Thanks all of y'all for coming. If I don't know you, I'm Claire Jantz. I'm Deputy Secretary of Conservation and Technical Resources at DCNR. I oversee the Bureau of Conservation and Recreation and the Geological Survey, and also in my deputate are the conservation landscape. So I'm really thrilled to be here again to see many familiar faces in the South Mountain landscape. I live in Shippensburg. I've lived there for 20 years, so this is my landscape. And so I'm always glad when I can join and continue to connect with you all. I know I only have a few minutes, so I just want to say that the highest value of our conservation landscape program is this kind of convening. And I know that the moment in time where we are right now is a little anxiety provoking, I guess. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, especially around federal funding and federal resources. I think from DCNR's perspective, we're right there with you all. We do what we can to support the work that you do, to advocate for the work that you do. But it makes these types of gatherings even more important because it's these kind of convenings where we all come together around common ground. And given the polarization that we see today, those types of connections are even more important. And so if we feel frustrated, if we feel a little discouraged, I think we just need to all kind of focus on our North Stars. We need to make progress where we can, and we just need to continue to build these types of partnerships and common ground. So I look forward to the day today. I know we're going to be talking a lot about, I'm looking forward to all the updates. I'm looking forward to the launch of the Trails Group. I'm looking forward to hearing about the South Mountain Research Corps. That's something close to my heart. And of course, Michaud State Forest. And just one more thing, as I was coming from Shippensburg, I rode right through the perimeter of the fire. And I know that that's something that we're all still thinking about and worried about. I think our team deserves a thanks. I think all of our local fire departments deserve a huge thanks. Yes, so round of applause. And I know it's been said several times, but there was a huge outpouring of support for those folks, and keep it coming. Continue to donate to your local volunteer fire department. Continue to support the Friends of Michaud. We now have the option where you can donate directly to the Tree Vitalize Fund. If you just Google Tree Vitalize DCNR, you'll find that page. Those types of donations go directly to help either first responders directly or to helping Michaud and other forests across our landscape be more resilient, and will help with the recovery efforts as we figure out how we're going to help the forests recover from that fire. So that's all I have to say. Thanks, everybody. Who's next? Are you next? Who's next? Adams County Spotlight. So Rob Thaler or Julia? Okay, here we go. Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks for your great comments. We're so appreciative to have Claire, and thank you very much. We'll be hearing more from her later. One thing about thanking the folks who responded to the Michaud fire, there is a thank you note station over by Annalie and Sarah, two of our amazing program committee members that helped make today happen. So at any time today, pop over there. You can stamp a thank you card. You can send it to your mom. You can send it to a local fire department. You can send it to the Michaud State Forest. There's stamps. Everything you need is right there. We want to be sure to show our gratitude. And I'm going to turn it over to another wonderful member of our program committee, Rob Thaler.
Morning, everyone. Ooh, that was loud. I was asked to give the group a sort of an update on the status of the county planning department, its organization and division structure and so forth. As Commissioner File had indicated, this board, which goes back 16 years at this point, took an initiative at the beginning of their terms, multi-terms ago, to consolidate the planning and conservation related offices and resources in the county into one office, into the planning office. When I started with planning in 1992, 33 years ago, boy, that's scary. We were an office of 6 people doing community planning work, plan review, all the kinds of stuff that we did. And there was a lot of other conservation and related work that was done at the county level, but in other offices and somewhat separated from the planning office. That changed about 15 years ago. And consolidated that work into the planning office. So we have a planning office now with 4 divisions, and I just wanted to review those and what the sort of the core work of each division is. There's the comprehensive planning division. That's I'm part of that division. We do comprehensive planning work. We do municipal assistance with help with municipalities with zoning ordinances, other ordinance work, other plan work. We do what we call our current planning function, which is reviewing every subdivision or land development that is proposed anywhere within the county, and then also a variety of other activities such as ordinance reviews and so forth. So it's a busy division. We'd like to keep it that way because that means we're getting out with the community and hopefully making a difference in terms of how communities grow and develop. Our second, I don't want to order these, but another division of our office is the Rural Resources Division. Represented here today by Ellen Dayhoff, who is the division manager, right up front there, and Mark Clowney, who is senior rural. That's your title, Mark. Senior rural resources planner or something. Whatever you need him to. Rural Resources is the division that operates our ag preservation conservation easements program. There's a boatload of work that goes into keeping that program up and running with new applications, and then also monitoring existing easements to confirm that they're remaining in compliance with their easement agreement with the county. So that's a big part of their work. That the Rural Resources Division also runs our recreation grant program, which is mostly funded by Act 13 funds, the Marcellus funds. And we've done a lot of good projects with that over the years, assisting local parks and related conservation activities through the years. So that's a very valued program as well. Our next division is our GIS division, represented today by Lisa Angstadt, who is the division manager. She doesn't like to say that she's a manager sometimes, but she's a pretty good one. The GIS division is, obviously operates our geographic information systems, databases, provides various mapping functions for us, mapping production and interpretation, maintains the databases that go behind mapping, provides direct assistance to municipalities and other organizations that need mapping services. That's pretty much it. It's good? Okay, Lisa's nodding, so I'm not too far off base. The last division that got merged into the planning office, and this was more recently than the first three, but the Adams County Conservation District is actually a division of the planning office. This happened about 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. Adam McLean, who's not here, but he is the division manager, or is the manager of the Conservation District, heads up that division. And of course, the Conservation District is involved in a wide range of conservation activities and programs, from review of various environmental applications for development, erosion sedimentation control, mosquito control. They get involved with farmers and other property owners on doing various conservation measures, stream bank stabilization, conservation measures on farms, and a variety of other conservation related activities. So very important division doing on the ground work, but very much aligned with the broader planning function in terms of advocating for broader conservation activities and projects. So that's that's sort of the outline of the planning office. We've grown to about 32 or 34 people when you include the conservation district folks at this point. So it's been a good arrangement, and speaking as a long timer, it's a pleasure working with all four divisions and the groups there, because I think we're all pulling in the same direction and trying to do good things for Adams County and the region. So that's where I will leave it. I'm going to turn it over to Mark Clowney, who would like to give you an update on a couple forthcoming projects that the planning office is going to be involved with. And then from Mark, we'll turn it over to Commissioner Qualley.
All right. Well, welcome to Adams County. You're going to find out from the next couple speakers that we love this place, right? It is a beautiful, beautiful county. This map, of course, we're right here. This is the Adams County portion. And in the planning office, a couple of the things that we take on, recently, we took on the economic analysis of a couple ag commodities. And one that we did over 10 years ago was the fruit belt study. And if you know anything about Adams County, you know that the fruit industry is huge, right? We have a fruit belt that slides from all the way up here past York Springs, comes down, through Biglerville, through Bendersville, all the way down into Fairfield, right? And any given day, you'll see this view right here, 20,000 acres of fruit belt, right? And it's something that's vital to our industry, vital to our community, vital to the region, right? The South Mountain region. And so we decided that we needed to put something on paper. What is the value of this? Because if you guys remember a couple years ago, the plum pox virus, right? It decimated a lot of our industry, especially the stone fruits. And we were lucky enough to have a local Adams County in office at the state, Russell Redding, who was our deputy secretary at the time, knew the industry and how important it was to this area. And he was able to help us, eradicate that and keep the industry here. We decided, man, if we don't have somebody like that in the office, what are we going to be able to give the next people, the political officers, that this is such an important industry for Adams County and for Pennsylvania. So we went ahead and did a study. Now, at the end of the day, that study proved that for any given year, the fruit belt is worth $580 million to Adams County alone, right? We look at companies like Nouse, Rice Fruit Company, Bear Mountain, Brames, these big guys, all the way down to the little guys, the farmers markets that go to Washington, Virginia, they're bringing money in. We looked at labor. We looked at everything. And so at the end of the day, $580 million. So that was 10 years ago plus. So we are now in the process of updating that study right now. We're literally right in the middle of it, interviewing some of the fruit growers from the past years that we've interviewed and interviewing some new ones. And just to give you a taste of it, we're finding the next generation has really taken over. I think of the 15 or 20 that we've interviewed, probably about 15 of them are the next generation. And the consultant that we're working with says they have nothing but bright ideas for the future. They're excited about the future of the fruit industry, which is good because, as somebody was mentioned earlier, in these times of uncertainty, we're hoping that, this fruit industry survives. And so there will be an update, hopefully by the end of the year, of what that value is of the fruit belt. So that's number one. Number two, not only welcome to Adams County, but welcome to agriculture in Pennsylvania, right? So about 3 years ago, we were approached by the Center for Dairy Excellence and the Pennsylvania Dairymen's Association to promote the possibility of putting a agricultural diversity center here, either in Adams County or some other counties. So they asked us to give a proposal. And so we put together our minds and a couple of staff members from the planning office and economic development. I don't know, is Robin here? I saw her name. There's Brady back there. So their office and our office and the commissioners put together this proposal. And at the end of the day, we won. And the group that was promoting this agricultural discovery center decided Adams County was the right place to promote Pennsylvania's agriculture. And so just a couple months ago, they announced a site, a location that they were in the process of purchasing. So we're very excited about that. They're moving forward. It's about 25 acres. It's right off of Route 15. And so hopefully in a couple years, you will be driving up Route 15 or down Route 15, and you'll see signs for welcome to the Pennsylvania Agricultural Discovery Center. And, that goes right hand in hand with what we're talking about right here with the South Mountain Partnership, right? And so I'm sure South Mountain Partnership will be part of the discussion when it comes to the layout of how this whole thing is going to be done. And we're excited here in Adams County. So that's the two updates. And now, without further discussion, Marty Qualley! Bom, bom, bom.
Yeah, I like how Mark was talking about the fruit belt, and we have the blossom belt. I call this the cheeseburger and beer belt. All right, so I am here to give an update on the 2025 Chesapeake Bay Watershed Agreement. So in like a handful of minutes, I'm supposed to condense a massive amount of work from a massive amount of people. How many of you have ever been on one of the management board calls, one of the meetings for the Chesapeake Bay Partnership? Wow, you guys are an exciting crowd. Okay, thank you. You are exciting. I've learned recently that the deputy or acting secretary of DEP changes diapers. And I'm like, secretaries don't do that. They don't change diapers. I mean, for us around here, our vision of a secretary is Russell Redding. And then, there's I got to get home. I got twins that they're getting out of classes. And now we find out that another one can roll up on a motorcycle. That was so boss, Claire. And then to step up and be like, It's in my head. I got it. Boom. You know, that was cool. So you did steal some of my thunder. I was going to pretend that my welcome was your welcome, and that would have been hilarious. But I do want to echo some of your concerns, and they will come up, and they have come up through the watershed agreement. Some of it mostly in side conversations. We have a lot of partners with EPA, and it is significant. What is happening at the federal government feels right now what it feels like to be in Michaud Forest. You know, there's a fire, no, there was a fire raging, and everyone's concerned. But I am sure that Roy, to the day, can tell us when it's going to start regrowing. So don't lose sight of that. Things burn down, things regrow. One of the things I've been incredibly impressed with by the management board and all the partners with the Chesapeake Bay program is how much they are taking the attitude of, we will do good work until we are done. Being done could be tomorrow for some of these people. Sitting in a room with people who are hearing that half of their workforce is going to be gone, a third of their grants are going to be gone, and they're managing this, and they're going, it doesn't matter. You know, it sounds like, no, we're going to keep going because we know this is going to be over, and we're going to set up the work for others to follow through. And that's what a lot of you in this room do. So my update is about the proposed 2025 and beyond Chesapeake Bay Watershed Agreement. The reason I am involved with this is last year, the governor appointed me to a group that has the longest title and the most boring one ever. I am on, and as long as my partner here, Elizabeth Grant, as well, over in Cumberland and Franklin counties. She's a local planner, but she's also elected to a planning commission, which makes you eligible to be on the local government advisory committee. So we are LGAC. There are 4, I kind of like it. There are 4 advisory committees to the executive committee of the Chesapeake Bay programs. The executive committee, I mean, that's the title, Local Government Advisory Committee to the executive committee of the Chesapeake, it's ridiculous. And one of the points that you're gonna see is we're gonna be doing a lot simpler language for things. That was one of the things actually that came out of a local government work group to start to explain to these folks, you gotta keep this simple, folks. You can't be using these big words all the time because you're blowing right past a lot of people who really want to help, but they feel like they don't understand what's going on. So our job is to give the local government perspective up and down the elected official sort of food chain. State officials, state partners, federal officials. So our job at the end of the day is to advise the governors. Chesapeake Bay, now this is a nice thing. I also thought it was interesting when Mark was talking, he kept looking over here like it was a PowerPoint. This is what happens when you put us out in the woods. We lose our ability to present. So this does reflect a good chunk of the watershed, Chesapeake Bay watershed for Pennsylvania. But then you got New York. You got a little sliver of Delaware somewhere down here. You've got Maryland, you've got Virginia, you've got DC, you've got a chunk of West Virginia. There are 6 states and DC. So just LGAC, we're all appointed by our governors or by our mayor. There are 26 of us. Can you imagine being in a meeting with 26 elected officials? We are horrifying sometimes. We all have opinions, and it's interesting because we learn things like Virginia's a Commonwealth. Pennsylvania's a Commonwealth. We are so in common. We have nothing in common except for this watershed. That structure is so different in Virginia versus Pennsylvania. When we talk local government officials, we're talking county commissioners. I'm going, no, we're talking municipal officials. That's who we have to get to. We got to get down lower. And that's one of the reasons why Elizabeth was appointed, because we needed a planner. We needed an elected planner on LGAC. So we were created in the 80s. And as we've been going through the different agreements and as everything changes, the original agreement was we're going to have all this done by 2024. Well, we don't. We have a lot of progress made in 2024 and a lot of lessons learned. So what I'm going to go over just some high points, because I could go over the hot off the presses redlined version of just the goal statement here, and you would all fall asleep. I could also go over every single outcome that we're working on. These drafts are being created by every state's secretaries and deputy secretaries for DCNR, DEP. Who did I just forget? Agriculture, sorry. That's the one that their advisory committee is just now coming on board, which kind of sucks for them because they're getting appointed right now. They're getting staffed up. They're just starting to meet. And we're about to send this up. Actually, today or yesterday, this was sent up to the principal staff committee. Principal staff being secretary level, being Russell Redding, et cetera, for every state. And then they look over and say, did we actually do our job? And then they'll push it up to the governors. They'll do a 1 hour dog and pony show for the press. And then we'll all start working again. When I say we'll start working again, I'm looking at all y'all. All right. So here are some of the high points that we have. There are 4 things that they really wanted to get changed. And again, I had to outline that structure so you know. The high points are coming from the governors to the secretaries and then down to the staff. We're mostly working with staff at the LGAC level. Simplify this. Plain language. We've been having this great discussion about all these outcomes. They're like, well, we have these novel outcomes. These are the new ones coming out. And I'm like, can we stop calling them novel outcomes? A novel is a book or it's the coronavirus. I mean, none of us knew novel really until that came along. It's a novel virus, great. And they were like, oh yeah, you're right. They have a hard time seeing it sometimes because it's a lot of scientists in the room. And it's like, these are the new outcomes. Speak it in ways that regular people will understand. So simplify, use plain language. I'm really proud of the plain language part because we had a local government forum and I convinced 3 local officials from Strabane Township to come. And then one of our board members was sitting with them and they're getting this big 5 minutes, my punk ass. We took like 5 minutes to get through the introductions. We got extra time. We had local officials who just said, the only people who can understand what you're talking about are the people who wrote this. Local government officials will never follow through on this. We got other stuff to do. So pushing plain language has been a huge thing. Elevate conservation. It seems kind of strange that that's a new one, but, and this even seems stranger for you folks, we're still trying to define conservation. Because a lot of people think conservation is preservation. Conservation is a wise use of land depending on the land type. So we got to get into planning and zoning when we're talking about conservation, not just stream banks, forests, et cetera. There's more to it than that. So elevating conservation, connecting people to the agreement, to the watershed. A lot of focus on science, and that's right. You start with the science, you lead with the science. The science changes, things happen. But if we don't connect this to the people, especially in this current climate, this political climate, this budget climate, if people aren't doing this like we did during World War I and World War II, it was our duty to conserve. If we don't change that mindset, it will just be another agreement that dies. People have got to keep this moving. And the last thing, and this is one that, again, LGAC is pushing and pushing and pushing, the agreement has got to be watershed wide. Too often you hear Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay, you care more about crabs than you care about my job. You care more about oysters than you care about my road. No, it's changing because everyone knows it is the watershed that is impacting the bay. We also know there are practical things we can do in our own watersheds, in our own backyards, that help us, that's in our own self-interest. Clean water is a lot easier to run through a water processing facility. These are things, the economy locally is important to us. Without the land, where's our economy go? I love that Mark highlighted the economics of this, of preservation, of conservation. These things matter. If we don't have orchards, we don't have apples. They don't grow at the store. We know this. But we've got to start making that connection to the entire watershed. All right, so like I said, I'm not going to go through each one of these, but I want to go over some of these goal statements to highlight some of these things that have come up. 2 minutes. All right, I'll just go over the important ones. The important outcomes. You don't want to hear about oysters, do you? Land use decision-making has been added to the list or improved on the list. Develop and disseminate relevant and actionable landscape information to organizations involved in local and regional land use planning. That doesn't sound like Chesapeake Bay stuff. How we plan will impact this watershed, your backyard, for generations to come. Fixing our planning and our zoning is critical. That had been a disconnect from before. I'm not supposed to curse, so I'm not going to say a word that is now a curse word at the federal government. It's called climate change. And it's funny because we all giggle at our meetings too. And there are people like, I'm allowed to say it. If you work for DEP, you are not allowed to say it. So out of respect for the people who do work for DEP and the people who are being funded by DEP, it is now changing environmental conditions. Quite frankly, I like it better. Climate change doesn't talk about population. It doesn't talk about concentration of industry near watersheds or near streams, et cetera. It just talks about the climate. The truth is there are changing environmental conditions. There's a political environment out there. There's a socioeconomic climate out there. These things matter. They are impacting. If you want a job, even if it's polluting, you have a job. You can feed your family. I bet she doesn't have a card that's less than 2 minutes besides stop. She does. The other big one is, I'm dyslexic. Does that say pots? It's way too early. All right. The other curse word that they're not allowed to say is DEI. I actually prefer justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, JEDI. Much cooler. You know, we're all connected. What we've changed it to is workforce development. And again, we may not like these language changes, but that's all they are. They're just language. The intent, quite frankly, will stay the same. Increase the ability of all watershed residents to understand, participate in, and succeed in environmental career paths. This is simply saying that the workforce working on helping the Chesapeake Bay reflects the population of the Chesapeake Bay. Well, that's pretty DEI to me. That is making sure that everyone has an opportunity to work and to have a career path in the watershed, helping with the bay. One of the challenges with the workforce of the past was it was all white. There were communities that they were not connected to. There have been historical, racial, and economic issues impacting different people within the watershed. So we're moving past all that. This is the new direction forward. And I have a whole lot more information here. Clearly, I have to stop and hand this over to somebody else who's going to talk about our amazing history here in Adams County, Carl Whitehill. But I have stuff here, so stop me afterwards and we can chit-chat.
Thank you, and thank you, Julia, for keeping him on task. I should say try. I will listen to your signs. So I've been asked here to talk about America 250, but first off, I want to talk about a couple things to get excited about, that we're excited about. Mark mentioned the Ag Discovery Center. This is a really, really big deal for Adams County, for the South Mountain Partnership, for the state of Pennsylvania, and it's right in our backyard. When I talk about America 250, this is afterward, and this is what we're getting excited about when this anniversary is over. So the other thing, we just wrapped up our Adams County Blossom Belt campaign. For years, decades even, there's been a friendly rivalry between agriculture and tourism in Adams County. We've always said, we're bigger, we're bigger. Randy's always said, there's two big industries, tourism and agriculture. And we're really excited to work alongside our friends in agriculture to bring things like the Adams County Blossom Belt to light. And there's a lot of other programs that we are working on. We look to Mark Clowney and his office to help us put together this Adams County Blossom Belt, because us tourism folks don't know anything about apple trees and agriculture and things like that, but it was a great relationship that we did, and that just wrapped up. We had 15 locations. We keep growing it year after year. If you haven't driven through Adams County, northern and western Adams County in late April, obviously it fluctuates, you got to do it. Do it next year. We'll be bigger and better, constantly putting out more sites, more places to see. It's just a phenomenal sight to see. We like to say we rival the DC cherry blossoms. We don't want quite that many people down in our neck of the woods, but it is beautiful and absolutely stunning. The markets are open. Okay, all right. I can hear myself because the speaker's right behind me, but so it's just a great relationship that we have. And the last thing before I jump into 250 is Patriot Rail. If Marty didn't run late, the train would have been perfect timing for me to talk about the new scenic train ride coming to Gettysburg. But starting August, I think August 1, there's going to be an excursion train coming back, and that's big for us and big for us in tourism. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Trains just don't come about very quickly. And so the folks that we're working with, Patriot Rail, very excited to start this. It's going to be initially a weekend thing. It's going to initially, as I understand it, going to be going up to Aspers, which is just north of here. So it's going to be cutting right down that tracks that we just heard that freight train going down. Plans are eventually to take it to Mount Holly Springs, which is where the former train years and years ago went. So this is going to combine our two counties here, two of our counties in the South Mountain. And we're really excited about that. It's going to be a great experience for people to see the Adams County countryside. So that brings me to America 250. This is right at our doorstep here in Adams County. A lot of people keep talking about the relationship or the comparison, if you will, with the 150th that Gettysburg had back in 2013. It's similar but very different. We are not the center of attention this time. Obviously, Philadelphia. Obviously, there's destinations in Virginia, Williamsburg, Yorktown, Jamestown that are really at the center of this. But in Pennsylvania, I really think that Gettysburg could be the second top destination for America 250. We are really pushing strong to make this a absolutely wonderful commemoration, not just in 2026, but now. And we have so many events on the horizon to do that. And what we really feel in Adams County is you can't tell a story of America without Gettysburg. And so our story is not 1776. We do have 1776 history, but that's not our story. Our story are the things that happened in Adams County that really lended itself to the national narrative, right? So you obviously have the Battle of Gettysburg. You have Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. And in case you didn't know, when he says 70 years ago, that's referring back to 1776. So he's connecting the 2 points of history, our nation's birth and where we were saved. And that's our story. We also we are home to President Eisenhower. He had so many contributions to the world, to America, including but not limited to the interstate highway system. So as we talk about things like that, that's really going to be something that elevates Gettysburg and Adams County on the national narrative for this 250th. And lastly, probably most interest to you, are our agricultural history, especially our apples. Our apples are feeding the country, and we have such a long legacy of that, and we really want to tell that story as well. So there's so many stories that are being told. We have a goal of having 250 events in 2026. And that sounds like a lot, but we're well on our way to doing that. One of them was just submitted to us a couple days ago from Biglerville. The town of Biglerville wants to have a Flag Day ceremony next year. And that's great. That's what we want to see. We want to see in Adams County and beyond throughout the South Mountain plenty of small communities celebrating this anniversary as they want to. And we're going to have big events in Gettysburg, of course. We have the reenactment that's going to be big. We also have somebody who's taken on the really big task of putting together what she's wanting a 25-hour reenactment or recreation of Lincoln's visit to Gettysburg. So Lincoln was in Gettysburg for a mere 25 hours, but of course he made history that's still remembered today. And that her event includes a train ride into Gettysburg with Lincoln on it, and stay at the Wills house, visit the cemetery, and all the other places that he stayed. There was thousands and thousands of people here in 1863 to hear him speak, and that's what we're hoping for in 2026. So a lot going on. Again, Philadelphia really going to be the centerpiece of this. And in case you didn't know, Philadelphia is also going to be home to the World Cup next year. Several games in and around Philadelphia. Major League All-Star game is going to be there. And a lot of that's going to be right in July next year. So we're ready. We're ready to take the overflow. We're ready to get them out of Philadelphia and into our neck of the woods. And we're really excited about it. It's a big task ahead of us, but we're excited to do that. And I'm excited. I'm the chairman of our local steering commission, and we have a great group of organizations that are helping us see this through. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Kipp for the Land Conservancy. And did I make my time, Julia? Oh, wow. See, Marty, that's how it's done.
Thanks. All right, we'll see if I cede some of my time to Marty. I'm not sure if I will, but I'm Sarah Kipp. I'm the Conservation Director for the Land Conservancy of Adams County. So we are the nonprofit entity doing land preservation in the county. We preserve things like farmland, forest land, wildlife habitat, wetlands, and this is all using the tool called a conservation easement, which protects privately owned land. So that's our working landscape. Yesterday, someone asked me what percentage of the county we've preserved, and I didn't know the answer to that. So we did some math, which is not my strong suit. And then we came up with, if Adams County is 522 square miles, is that right? Planners? Okay. Then our 13,800 acres, or about 14,000 acres preserved, is about 4% of the county. So not a ton, but the Adams County Ag Land Preservation Program has done about twice that. So that's a great start towards preserving our farmland resources. And of course, we're lucky to have Michaud State Forest, Gettysburg National Military Park, and a lot of other protected lands in Adams County. So we are a small piece of that puzzle of preservation and protected lands in Adams County. And we love doing what we do, which is that conservation easement protects privately owned lands, so our working and agricultural landscape and our forest land. And that is unlike, in contrast to, say, the Central Pennsylvania Conservancy, or maybe you've heard of Natural Lands in Eastern Pennsylvania. They typically or often use a tool which is fee simple acquisition. So those are entities that have the resources to acquire land and often either open it to the public for nature trails, things like that, or turn it over to public agencies that then have it open to the public. So that's not one thing that we pursue actively, but it is, so those 13,800 acres are privately owned. So we did, I wanted to answer another question I've been getting recently, which is how the kind of change in the federal funding landscape is impacting the Land Conservancy. So luckily, none of our operating costs depend on funding sources, so that's not an impact to us. But we have preserved to date 45 farms with the support of a federal grant program through the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is part of the USDA. So 45 farms to date, and I submitted actually this year 7 applications to that same grant program, which is called the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. Earlier this year, there was a bit of a snag with some funding that had been obligated years prior. There were some delays in receiving that to complete a project. And although I was encouraged to submit applications this year, you do see in the news that those sources are planned to be cut. So it seems like right now the impacts are to be determined, but it's possible that even if we get contracts for projects today, they may not follow through with that later on. So that's a big impact to us and what we can achieve in the county. Over the years, we've spent over $8 million of federal funds that go directly to farmers and property owners who decide to choose preservation over development. So that's a substantial amount of funding that we have depended on to get projects done in our over 200 properties that we have preserved. So another kind of update for us, we are currently in our 5th year of having an intern from Gettysburg College's Civil War Institute. I have with me today Ayla, who is our intern this summer. So we've been, it's been a great program for us to engage with Gettysburg College and have some support for one of our annual obligations, which is as a nonprofit land trust. One of the ways that we ensure that properties are staying preserved in perpetuity is to conduct an on-site inspection every year. So that means going out to these properties, trying to engage with landowners, confirm if they plan any changes, and that's a big task. We have over 200 sites to visit every year. And we try to get that done in the summertime when we have intern support. We also have 2 of our volunteers who help with that, Kurt Musselman and Pat Nogler here on our conservation committee. And so they also help with those inspections. So those are well underway. We have about 25 done out of 200, so a long way to go this summer. But it's a great way to get out and see what Adams County looks like in this beautiful time of year. So I think overall, the Land Conservancy's preservation is probably in acreage, more farmland than other types of open space, but we do try to encourage the preservation of farmland or forest land and wildlife habitat. And in the past few years have been trying to ramp up some of our work in the forestry area. So 2 years ago, we reached out to 200 property owners in Adams County of forest land and invited them to what we called our forestry forum, which we'll hopefully have again. And for that, we had our district forester, Matt Kern. We had the NRCS, did I say that acronym before? Natural Resources Conservation Service, the USDA's federal agency, their state forester, and then 2 people who represented carbon market groups. So we had a forum at the Ag Center in Adams County and invited property owners to come and learn about different forest management techniques. Last year, we got a grant from We Conserve PA, which is the state association of land trusts like ourselves, to get 16 forest management plans done on preserved properties. So we got a grant for $26,000 that helped fund forest management plans on privately owned land. And it's yet to be determined if they've read those. But those plans are compatible with receiving cost share funding from NRCS to implement the practices that are described in those plans. So we're looking forward to seeing how those property owners decide to take action on things like managing invasives, doing maybe a selective timber cut, things like that. Okay, one more thing. So that's not sort of in our normal purview of what the Land Conservancy does, which is primarily this acquiring conservation easements. Like I said, because we don't actually own any land in fee simple that we have open to the public, we don't have many ways for Adams County's public to really engage on the ground with land that we've preserved. So, of course, I think all of us can recognize that driving by the orchards, the beautiful Adams County scenery does benefit the public. Lots of people benefit from knowing they have wildlife habitat available if they're hunters, if they're fishers, things like that. But we wanted to think of a way that we could actually get people on the ground. So last year, which happened to be another big year for this, one of our partners, Boyer Nurseries and Orchards is one of our big fruit growers in the county. They last year completed the preservation of 1,000 acres with the Land Conservancy. And I was thinking, is that the only other entity besides Hanover Shoe that has done over 1,000 acres? Okay, so I hope you heard that the county continues to work with Hanover Shoe Farms, another major property owner in Adams County, an agricultural business. And how many thousands have they done at this point? Thousands of acres. So that's huge. The average farm size in Adams County is 140 acres. So for one business or property owner to preserve over 1,000 acres is major. So the county is working to do thousands with Hanover Shoe Farms. The 1,000 acres that we've preserved with Boyer Nurseries and Orchards is also a huge accomplishment and commitment of the property owners to agriculture in Adams County. So we completed 1,000 acres with Boyer Nurseries at their home farm. I'm gonna take way less than 5 minutes. I'm wrapping it up. And I hope you've all been there. So Boyer Nurseries and Orchards is, you can go there for cherry and blueberry picking probably in the near future. They have apple picking in the fall. They have a farm market. You can buy nursery plants. If you're a fruit grower, you can buy bare root fruit trees. And because that partner of ours is familiar with having public onto their property, we approached them about having a new opportunity for the public to use their property, which is a hiking trail. So last year we opened a 1-mile hiking trail that leaves from the parking lot at their farm market on Boyer Nursery Road. And to be honest, trail might be a little aspirational. It does follow existing farm lanes and travels through their orchard using markers to identify where you walk. So we hope to continue building on that and improving that trail. I made the mistake of taking a group out there and not thinking about the fact that I don't feel poison ivy. So there is poison ivy on the trail and when you're walking through the grass between the fruit trees. So make sure that if you go, you prepare for things like poison ivy, ticks, elements in nature. I think all of this crowd would probably be familiar with those things you have to prepare for. But it is a nice 1-mile trail that does get some beautiful views of our fruit belt. And the family is interested in expanding that into some of their forest land that they have. So we're hoping to expand that opportunity for people to use and engage with privately owned protected land in Adams County. So that's all I have. And who do I give this to? Yeah, thanks, Marty. Oh, yeah, back to you again. Sorry. Yeah, the sunshine's coming out. Yeah.
Hi, folks. For those who don't know me, I'm Katie Hess. I'm Director of South Mountain Partnership and have been, it will be 10 years in August. Hopefully you won't need to use those on me. So again, I want to thank Julia. Julia's really taken on the event coordination for all of our events. We've seen them continue to be more fun, be more informative, and increase attendance. So I just want to acknowledge her and Tyler and the program committee and everything you guys are doing. It's working. You're creating joy and community. So thank you. So if you're not looped in or plugged in with South Mountain Partnership through a committee, and even if you are, you might be interested in some of the updates that we have to give you. A lot of these have happened since the winter meeting that was held at the end of January in York County. So a natural heritage inventory project update. That is our first implementation project out of the State of the Region initiative. That is still underway. This season is the second field season and the final field season for that survey. And then they'll be wrapping up over this winter, processing all of the data and inputting it into their system. So we think that that project will be finishing in 2026. So that'll feel really good. The counties will have updated natural heritage inventory data, GIS data that can be used in planning and accessible to everyone here and the public. And we're really happy that that has taken shape and is in the home stretch. I want to highlight our grant programs. The mini grant program had a record 16 applicants this year. We have $50,000 to disperse. We typically have 10. We usually have 10 applicants asking for $100,000. Now we have 16 asking for $192,000. Again, I think this is an effect of federal happenings and a lot of anticipated limitations. So we're going to do our best to do like a balancing act there. Forgive me, I have a new cell phone. I broke mine on Sunday and just got this new one yesterday. And I'm trying to keep it awake for my notes. So it's just interesting. I just want to kind of share that information for you because it really demonstrates a huge uptick, a doubling of the need. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to address it, but we will do something. Our Flex Grant program is opening soon, I believe. It's open now for applications. If you're not familiar with the Flex Grant program, that's entirely privately funded through our Friends group, through the Foundation for Enhancing Communities. And for those who have been giving or have recently given, thank you so much. That program is always really wonderful at helping, local environmental education, restoration projects, other really unique projects that don't qualify for our mini grant program. And then finally, the Research Corps grant program is on a rolling basis. You can apply for that at any time, really. And then it will get picked up by our Research Corps committee, reviewed, and a decision will be provided within 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah.
The deadline for those
Okay, so June. Yeah, and if you need more information, it's everywhere on our website, or you can talk to us. Yeah. We held 2 online trainings for the first time. One for how to incorporate the new State of the Region report into your own funding applications as a way to increase the competitiveness of your local funding applications, tying it to this regional plan that we now have for implementing projects that address the 6 core challenges in our region or advance recommendations and action plan projects. So we had a really good turnout for that. I believe we had 40 or so folks. Lori, also thank you from DCNR, came and kind of helped us to get really specific. Like we actually went into the grant portal and showed like where to best input that information. And then the other training was on mini grants, right? All of our grant programs, just to like increase people's knowledge about the opportunities with South Mountain Partnership for funding. That one was attended by 70. Oh, 42. I'm inflating numbers. So again, these are ideas that Julia is like kind of coming up with and really making happen. And I think it's a huge improvement to getting access to everyone and increasing everyone's ability to access our grant programs. They are. Yes. Under our grants tab, I believe. We wanted to, if you haven't seen also, we had Megan Clark working with us over the past 2 years. Megan, can you raise your hand and wave? Hi, Megan. Megan has been a huge capacity increaser, I would say, for South Mountain Partnership. And we were lucky to welcome her in through a partnership with Gettysburg College through the AmeriCorps Vista Scholar Program. And unfortunately, on my birthday, at the end of April, she was notified that due to federal policy, that program has been eliminated. So we no longer have access to her services, but she has become so part of our community that, she's here today. Please make sure you say hello. We are looking to continue to support her and get her into the right fit when it comes to the right job that comes along. So, yeah, literally. So if you, okay, can I do that? If you're hiring, I think we already have drafted a letter of recommendation for Megan. I would hire her like in a heartbeat. So please think of her. She has an amazing skill set as you are looking to hire your next employee or know of any opportunities. Wanted to let you all know that we are exploring a Michaud Wildfire Communications Task Force. Bless you. And a few folks within our network, almost immediately after the wildfire was under some semblance of containment, came to us and said, we're really interested in educating about wildfire in a multitude of ways. So we're gathering some of those partners just to begin sketching out what that could look like and how to do it as a regional, collaborative instead of people doing fragmented efforts, and also connecting it to, Roy, his team, DCNR, and actual wildfire fighters to make sure that we are being, very centered and accountable in the information that we're sharing. So look for updates about that. And if you're not staying for the Regional Trail Coalition kickoff, we just wanted to mention that is happening. That really is the initiation of the second project out of our State of the Region initiative. We will be exploring what it could look like to set up a regional trail coalition, which would give strategic and it would set strategy and priority for trail projects so that we can be more competitive in grant applications and really sketch a vision of what this region's trail infrastructure could look like. When I say trail, I specifically mean like connector trails between communities and open spaces and existing outdoor recreation resources. And these would be pedestrian, multimodal. So they would stress like, am I saying it right, Tyler? Pedestrians, bicycles, shared multi-use trails. Thank you. I know it's like very specific terminology there. So this first kickoff meeting is just about hiring an initial consultant to really gather the region, assess our needs, and put forth an organizational structure that is not led primarily by South Mountain Partnership, but is a true collaborative of many partners, lifting it up and pushing it forward together. And if you're not registered for that, but you want to stay, feel free. That's fine. I think I finished my list. Flex grants and research grants are the only things left. So I wanted to say thank you again. We've never hosted a meeting here, and as I drove in, I realized how much of my formation as a human happened here. I grew up on 4th Street in Biglerville. It's about no more than a quarter of a mile from here. And I learned how to play softball. My athletic career started at the field behind me, where my dad coached my little league team. So a lot of things have happened here. And I used to kind of think, when people talk about parks being like sentimental and so important to people's lives, like I get it now. It is a little emotional being back. So thanks for joining us here. Really appreciate it. Okay, and next I am so proud to introduce Marian Orlowski. Marian, I guess I met Marian when I first started my job 10 years ago. She is, I always get we don't have your title on here. Okay. But she's also a native of this area and is currently living on the mountain in her amazing cabin.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, Marian Orlowski. I'm the Director of Science and Stewardship for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today. Of course, moments before I was called up, I got that little pollen tickle in my throat, so I'm going to try to keep it together and hope for the best. As Katie mentioned, I am a native. I'm not sure what I would call myself, but I grew up in the Cumberland Valley, where my family lived just a quarter of a mile from the Appalachian Trail. And as a child, I regularly visited the trail with my parents and my sister. But it wasn't until I had moved away from Pennsylvania for some time that I realized how truly fortunate I was to have that world-class recreation opportunity in my own backyard. And that applies not just for the AT, certainly for the entire South Mountain region as well. My family spent what felt like nearly every weekend as a teenager hiking the Appalachian Trail or exploring Michigan State Forest, kayaking along Pine Reservoir, fishing on the Yellow Breeches Creek, listening to music on the mountain, bluegrass on the grass, or cross-country skiing in the agricultural fields right next door. So this region obviously holds a treasure trove of opportunities to be outside, to be in nature, to enjoy the landscape. And most of them are free, which is pretty incredible. So I've had the honor of working for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy since 2012. Before coming to ATC, I occasionally volunteered with our local trail management club to remove invasive species. And before that, I was just a kid who hiked the trail to get to my best friend's house and then walk into town to get popsicles from the local convenience store. So it's been a through line in my life, my whole entire existence. And I imagine, like myself, many of you have also had profound or fundamental experiences on the Appalachian Trail or in its landscape, in the South Mountain region or beyond. Whether you enjoy the trail's scenic beauty, its connection to a special community, or a sense of purpose that it may bring to you, above all, the Appalachian Trail and the people who recreate on it, care for it, protect it, and live around it are a story of connection, passion, and resistance. Endurance. 100 years ago, a group of advocates, much like this group here today, came together to further explore and validate Venton Mackay's vision for an Appalachian Trail, an event known at the time as the Appalachian Trail Conference, which was our founding name in 1925. From Mackay's vision to Myron Avery and his get her done approach, to the many stewards who followed, we are aligned by a single purpose, and that is to keep the trail open, connected for all, while striving to bring continuous improvement and protection to the trail's natural and physical resources and the experiences that it provides for millions of visitors annually. If we take a moment to reflect on the past 100 years, we might broadly define time and accomplishments into eras. From the original layout and building of the trail to the realization that a protected land base was essential to preserving the trail's continuity and future. Thank you, Julia. To the modern era of formally developing the trail's cooperative management system, improving the trail's design and alignment, and stewarding the trail's critical natural resources. So what have we learned, and how might we craft a vision for the next century of the AT's existence? Today, at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, we're developing programs and strategic direction that build upon our early success while also adapting to changing conditions. The three themes of our strategic plan are protect, experience, and belong. We aim to protect a healthy, biodiverse, and resilient landscape that connects the wild, scenic, and cultural wonders of the Appalachian Trail and its surrounding lands. We manage the trail and its facilities for a responsible, sustainable, and accessible experience. And we're working to welcome and engage an expanding community of supporters, volunteers, advocates who will stand up for ATC, the trail, and our mission. So how will we accomplish this work? With renewed commitment, vision, flexibility, and grit. ATC's leadership is often asked, particularly right now, will the trail survive? And we say absolutely, but we certainly can't take its current existence for granted. We'll need to continue to build upon and enhance our participation through adaptive management, volunteer support and engagement, financial support, and advocacy. We have a new tagline at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy aligned with our centennial celebration and our vision, and that is to keep the trail alive. So please welcome me today in celebrating ATC's 100th anniversary in whatever way you can to keep the trail alive, and with cake, which Tyler insists we all partake in. Can we sing? Sure. I'm not a very good singer, so I'll just get us started, but happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for celebrating with us.
I also failed to, in my comments, speak to a joint anniversary. It's also DCNR's 30th anniversary this year. And so you'll see on this cake, happy birthday ATC and DCNR, because we are collaborating on a year of anniversary, I guess. We also have 2 committee members with birthdays this weekend, I believe, Janet Pollard and, oh, I thought there was someone else. Was there someone else in the, Stacy? There you are. Sorry, Stacy, I outed you. But yeah, wish them happy birthdays too. They're great committee members.
All right, folks, thank you. Thank you, Marty, for making that happen. We're so proud to feature our Research Corps project next for you. The South Mountain Research Corps is a committee-led program that supports local students working on local land for outcomes that help all of us learn more about our homes. So we're so proud of this program. The students that work in it are incredible. Grace organized a warehouse forum about a month ago that was very well attended and an amazing, and she's gonna tell you a little bit more about warehouse data in our region. And I'm hopeful that maybe there'll be future forums because I felt like we only scratched the surface at the first one. So without further ado, Grace Kaufman of Shippensburg University.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for the warm welcome. As she had previously discussed, yes, I did help with the help of Holly Smith. I'm not sure where she is, the Director for Land Use and Sustainability. Yes. She helped me make the warehouse forum, and she actually helped make this grant happen for me to apply for it. So essentially, my project is on the impacts of warehouses on air quality in Cumberland and Franklin County. So again, this grant kind of came to me from Holly. She sat me down one day and she said, there's been a lot of local concerns recently on warehouses and what their possible environmental impacts are. So with the help of Dr. Tim Hawkins, who is at Shippensburg University, our in-house meteorologist, we kind of wrote this proposal together, and as you guys can see, I did fortunately get it, or I wouldn't be talking to you guys today. So a little bit of background, I guess, on warehouses. Obviously, we're in the I-81 corridor, which is a hotspot for warehouses. And again, this is due to the fact that any retailer can get to 1/3 of the United States population within a day's drive. So again, that makes this region a hotspot for warehouses and very important. So another thing that really drew me to this project is the fact that there is no warehouse inventory for Cumberland or Franklin County. And frankly, that's an issue. if you want to study the issues and the problems with warehouses and possible correlations to environmental issues, you need to know where these warehouses are, what their square footage is, and when they became active. Because unfortunately, a lot of warehouses actually sit vacant for a few months to up to 2 years before they're even rented out. So while the method that I'm using, obviously I am creating a warehouse inventory for Cumberland and Franklin County, or else I will not be able to conduct this study. So I'm doing this in ArcGIS with supervised classification, but I'm using aerial photography to find these warehouses. But the issue with this is, it's impossible for me to tell when these warehouses became active. So then it becomes very difficult for me to try and correlate possible environmental issues with warehouses if I don't know exactly when they became up and running. So there's about 3 other major parts to my project. Obviously, I'm going to be looking at PennDOT traffic data. So I took 2 segments from I-81 and from the Turnpike, because these are the most likely places where semi-trucks are coming from. And I'm looking at truck traffic volume and total traffic volume since about 2000. And I'm just seeing, has there been increases, has there been decreases, and so on and so forth. I can tell you guys very confidently right now, there has been increases for truck traffic, a lot. It's almost doubled since about 2007, which coincidentally is when a lot of these major warehouses started popping up. So that's a big part of my project. I'm hoping to, again, correlate traffic data with when these warehouses were being developed. And then you're probably wondering now, okay, well, where's the air quality aspect of this? Well, first off, we know that, or we might not know, warehouses themselves are not the issue. It's not the building for solely air quality. It's all the traffic volume that it causes as a result. So, you know, as we know, engine combustion, we get all of our criteria pollutants, our ground level ozone, our nitrous oxides, PM 2.5, so on and so forth. I could keep going on in that. But yeah, so that's the major issue with warehouses. So to actually figure out what the air quality is, and has it been increasing, decreasing, so what I'm looking at is the EPA air quality monitors. Unfortunately, Cumberland and Franklin County is a very big study area, and 2 EPA monitors are not going to cut it, frankly. So while I am taking all the criteria pollutant data that I have from those monitors, to fill in those gaps, I'm using something called Purple Air, the air quality monitors. You guys are probably familiar with those. They only, unfortunately, measure PM 2.5 and PM 10, but I think that's still very indicative of air quality. So I'll be using that to map local weather conditions over time and see pollutant dispersion, and then try and correlate that with traffic and warehouse development and see, is there a correlation there? And then the 4th aspect of my project, which I'm actually very excited about, is I'm going to be using the EPA economic model. It's called the Extended Economic Output Input Model. Pretty long name. The acronym for it is the EEIO model. Every time I say it, I feel like I'm singing Old MacDonald, but I'm not. But I'm very excited to use this. We've talked to some of the EPA folks about this, and it definitely seems like it's going to work. So essentially what this model does is it takes about 450 industries, their economic data, and then the EPA environmental data. And through a bunch of conversions and complicated math I don't super understand, it makes per dollar earned for your industry, what is the pollutant output of that? So per dollar earned of warehouse industry, what is the ozone pollutant output of that? What is the PM 2.5 pollutant output of that? And so on and so forth. So what I'm doing is I'm applying the EIO state level model to Cumberland and Franklin County, and I'm going to determine per dollar of industry revenue earned, what is the criteria pollutant output for PM 2.5 for ozone, so on and so forth. So very excited to do that. I think we're going to get some good results out of this. So thank you to South Mountain Partnership for allowing me to conduct this research, and for inviting me to speak today. It's great to see all of you guys. I don't think I got to talk to a lot of you, but if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, so thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Grace. It's an inspiration to hear you speak. I think we're ready to move on to our Michaud segment, I believe is next up. So Claire, do you want to kick things off with us?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we'll take your time. Somehow you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Well, oh, I love that song. That's one of my favorite Christmas songs. A little note about the Research Corps and Science Summit program. All of the research priorities that we use to rank and award projects have been developed over the last 5 to 10 years by local land managers and owners and the broader community. So it's not just us dictating, what research should be done, but we're actually like lifting up local landowner and manager concerns, resident concerns, and so on.
Has the Michaud team been introduced yet? All right. Well, if you don't know them, I'm going to pass the mic over to our district forester, Roy Brubaker, who is, I think, the best district forester in the region. Well, certainly in the region. I think in the system. And then you can introduce Michelle.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Roy Brubaker, I've been here for 15 years, started in 2010. So I think I predate Katie and maybe, 2 other South Mountain partner leads. So it's been a great ride. And part of the reason that it's been a great ride for me is because of the South Mountain Partnership. And I learned really quickly that the Michaud has a lot of eyes on it. And a lot of loving eyes and people that really, really care about the forest, that care about the work we do. And it's been a constant energizing challenge to figure out how to open our work up as foresters, as a land management team, to the many people that care about the forest and the mountain. So with that said, I've had a great part of the benefit of being a long-termer in a place is that you have a totally different team than what you started with. And I can't say enough about the people that work in the district. Michelle started as our rec forester, I think in 2011, about a year after I started. And rec was something we had never invested. Recreation, that's what foresters call recreation. It's a rec, and it certainly was a rec on the Michaud until Michelle joined us and understood the value of recreation, and that people that come to the forest looking for recreation really are part of the social assets that we can use to restore and rejuvenate and rehabilitate the forest and our relationship with it. So Michelle brought that sense of excitement about what was happening on the forest and that we needed to turn it to something useful and participatory. And so she oversees all of our trails, volunteer stuff. She also manages about 100 and almost 30 miles of roads that people love to drive on, both internal residents that have high expectations for the quality of those roads, as well as people coming looking for a wilderness area and wondering why we're providing highways through the forest. So it's on all fronts, our challenge of managing 140 square miles of forest along 37.5 miles of the AT is about trying to balance those competing objectives. People that want wilderness and to get away from it all, and people that are terrified to step off the trail into the woods for the first time. So it's taken people like Michelle joining the team to help us grow up and embrace that challenge. So do you want to say anything?
Well, you already said everything that I do. No. But hello, everybody. I'm Michelle Blevins. I'm one of the assistant forest managers at the Michaud State Forest. And like Roy said, I kind of oversee our recreation program. So our trails, our volunteers, our recreation infrastructure, and hopefully the good experiences that people have when they come and visit Michaud. And we have a lot of projects going on right now to kind of enhance the experience that people can have at the Michaud. I oversee our maintenance program, so our roads and our other infrastructure that people get to come and use on the forest. Our rangers, who are the ones that kind of protect the people from the forest, but also protect the forest from some of the people. So there are natural resource heroes, and our education and outreach. So our environmental education specialists, which we have a vacancy right now, but hoping to fill that. And we just got permission to host it, so it should be coming out soon. So if anybody's interested, I'll put that plug out there too. And so with that position, we're hoping to educate people about what we do on our forest, why we do it, the programs that we have, the projects that we're working on, and kind of reach more people through Facebook and other media outlets about the Michaud. So those are just some of the things that I do on the forest. And I don't know if there is time or if anybody has questions after everything's done. You can always come and visit me and Roy. But yeah, and I don't know if I'll have time to highlight any of the projects that we have going on right now, but I don't want to take a lot of time from Claire or Roy if they have other things to say.
Thanks, you too. And hopefully we will have some time to go over some of the updates, because I know there's some pretty exciting trail projects, trail planning, lots of other things happening in the Michaud. On June 7th, there's a volunteer work day around one of the trails. So you can check the Michaud social media. We also have, let me back up. We all know how special Michaud is, but I'm not sure if we totally recognize how unique Michaud is within our state forest system. Michaud has the highest road density, the highest number of visitors, the highest recreation density. It is the most loved forest in the whole state forest system. And it's also like right down, you can see Michaud from the Capitol building, right? So when we had the forest fires here, it was a huge, incident that needed to be managed, but we were also under quite a lot of scrutiny because everybody in the Capitol complex could see the smoke coming up, not literally, but there's a lot of interest from leadership in Harrisburg around what happens in Michaud. So we're really in a position to show the leadership of the Bureau of Forestry with what we do on the Michaud, from managing forest fires to ecosystem restoration to managing recreation, and all of that stuff. And again, Michaud is loved, as are the state parks embedded in Michaud. We have Kings Gap, we have Pine Grove, we have Mont Alto, we have Caledonia, sorry. And I know we have the Friends of Michaud. Don Horn, can you raise your hand? So talk to Don if you're interested in getting engaged in the Friends of Michaud. And you should also at the same time talk to Andre Weltman, who can get you engaged with the Friends of Pine Grove Furnace State Park. Are there any other Friends groups represented here? Kings Gap? Anna Lee is here from Kings Gap. She's DCNR staff, so she can connect you with Friends of Kings Gap. So yeah, there are lots of ways to get involved directly with helping us move all of this stuff forward. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time today, because Michaud is the flagship of our state forest system. We are in the process of scoping and designing a flagship visitor center for Michaud. And we want to use some time today to talk a little bit about that visitor center, and then Katie and Julia will help facilitate some conversation around that, or feedback. So I won't go into the bureaucracy of this, but this visitor center that is that we're going to be, again, we're in the process of designing and scoping it. We're at the very beginning of that process. It will be an 18-month process of designing and scoping, and that process is going to entail sort of design of the building as well as design of the grounds around the building. It's a little bit sensitive because the site of the visitor center is going to be where the current South Mountain Golf Course is. But I think it's time to, to kind of make that site much more accessible and open to the public. And this investment, we are seeing this as the flagship visitor center in the state forest system. So if you've been to Tyadotten State Forest and seen their visitor center, that's kind of the current flagship. This will be, as John Norbeck said, he's my counterpart in charge of Parks and Forests. I'm like, this isn't even my territory, but I horn in because I love it so much. He's like, this will leave Tyadotten in the dust. It will rival some of our high-profile state park visitor center, Ohiopyle or Hickory Run, if you've been there. It's going to be on that level. The intention of the visitor center is to get visitors coming in to get excited, to learn about what Michaud has to offer. On the site, nearby the site, we have a Revolutionary War era cemetery. We have Rothrock's Pulpit Rock. There's a very famous picture of Rothrock. He was one of our key conservation leaders. We're very close to the Appalachian Trail and other trails in Michaud. There's so many assets there that so many people want to engage with just at that location, but also with the forest as a whole. So we want people to come in. This isn't going to be like the Gettysburg Visitor Center, which is really like a museum. You can spend a whole day in the Gettysburg Visitor Center. This is going to be like, we want you to get into the visitor center, learn all the things about Michaud that's going on, and then we want people to get out and engage with the resources. Not get out of the region, but get out of the building and engage with the region. And that engagement can be, there will be a focus on accessibility so that users of all abilities, ranges of ability can get out into the forest and learn about the forest, but we'll also, be informing our hikers, our bikers, our equestrian users, our ATV users, how to interact with the forest, how to interact with other forest users. So that's the vision. And again, we're kind of at the beginning of this 18-month scoping and design process. That means that, mid to late 2027, we'll be starting construction and looking forward to opening up this center. And since we are at the beginning of this process, we're very interested in engaging with you all as stakeholders in the region, as potential users, and potential users, right? Of gathering some feedback from you all. So I'll pass it over to Katie and Julia. The South Mountain Partnership is going to be helping us, helping DCNR to coordinate this process. And of course, I don't want to leave out. I mean, the real spotlight here is Roy and Michelle and their team for being on the receiving end of all of this feedback, good and bad, right? So, yeah.
Before we get into feedback, do you want to see if there's any quick questions before? Any questions before we? You mean specifically for Claire about the visitor center? Yeah, to DCNR.
Hi, my name's Etienne Kingsley. I'm a local. I love Michaud. Just had a question about the visitor center. Presumably that's going to take more people to staff it. Would there be enough money to do that? And how many employees would you be hiring?
I'm going to run this back. Claire.
So, I mean, it's a great question, and it's one we're really grappling with, I think, both at the local level and, frankly, at the bureau and even the department level. Obviously, when you're planning for a building that you hope will last for 150 years, you need to build some flexibility into the design. I don't think when people built our district office back in 1915 or whatever, they would have expected that we could do as much with it as we have over the last century and a half. But right now, we're staffed at right about 27 to 30 staff, and I would say about maybe 2/3 of them is what we're planning to have room for in the new office. A lot of it comes down to how much space do you provide for current staff versus future staff that you could plan space for, and how much do you try to plan for your staffing space as flexibly as possible, so that if you need to add more staff in a decade or 15 years from now, that you can do that and just shrink some of the office space. So those are kind of the matrices that we're trying to work with, knowing that right now we're with our full-time complement right now and the people that we actually have in those positions, we really have about the same number of staff in the Michaud that we had in 2000. So, and all of our rates have gone up exponentially. And I mentioned that, I'm not complaining about that. We've gotten a lot more efficient. We've changed some classifications, stuff like that. So you don't want to overbuild, you don't want to waste taxpayer money, but it is about designing flexibly for staffing needs.
Yeah, and Roy is being pretty kind. I think that I don't know, I might get fired for this, but I think Michaud and I think many of our state forests are understaffed to a certain extent, and so that is an issue that I mean, at the department level, staffing is a huge issue. We are at our what's called the complement ceiling. We have the maximum number of employees that we're allowed to have by the state. So we are in a position of reallocating resources when we can and continuing to advocate at the state level for additional people to help with our needs.
Kind of incorporated into the design. Sorry, I'm very quiet. Yeah. That's what unless I'm yelling at Roy. No, I'm kidding. But and even as part of the design of this visitor center, they are kind of incorporating, what kind of staffing levels are going to be needed to maintain a building like this and grounds like this, because it's not just the building, it also is the grounds around the building. So you'll be able to have interpretation and education inside the building, but there will be also an educational landscape all the way around the building that people can experience. And they are talking about having it open more than just on a Monday through Friday basis for the public and people to use and enjoy.
Yeah. Other questions?
I mean, we are certainly having conversations about our existing building. Our maintenance staff will all stay probably at our current headquarters as a maintenance headquarters. So we're adding some additional investments on that footprint. And I'm sure once we vacate the existing district office, the district foresters, what used to be the district forester's house next to it, there's a big building footprint right along 30 that is going to be high value real estate that will need some kind of reinvestment. But we're also at both the Bureau and the department level, I think, looking at regional staffing needs for some centralized functions or regional functions. In terms of repurposing, Mont Alto or other state assets in the area, we did look at that when we were looking at site evaluation. We talked to other agencies like Department of Health, where we were hearing that there was unoccupied either parcels or unoccupied underutilized buildings. At the DGS level, it gets really, really complicated figuring out how to do cross-agency repurposing and reinvestment. So I think it's a little beyond our scope, or at least maybe even at the department level scope. But I think those kinds of conversations have obviously come up at the county level, and there's a lot of interest in seeing intelligent repurposing of Commonwealth assets. But I from what I've heard, that is an issue across the state, and it's as important in metropolitan areas as it is in rural areas. So it's a little beyond our scope in knowing how to exactly deal with it.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Mary Ann. And DGS is Department of General Services. They own a lot of state property is owned by DGS. But yeah, I mean, there are some challenges, like Roy mentioned, of like across different agencies and how we can share that. DGS is in the process of like a statewide evaluation of their holdings, utilization, and making those things more efficient. Mont Alto specifically, depending on what actually plays out there, our secretary, I mean, you all know the history of Monte Alto, the role that that school played kind of in the national picture of professional forestry education. That is something that Secretary Dunn does not want to see stop there, even if it stops being a Penn State campus. So, you know, again, that's a situation that's kind of in the process of playing out right now. But certainly from our perspective, we're going to, I think, do what we can to try to help continue the educational mission of that spot.
Okay. I'd really like to see the South Mountain Restoration Center turned into like a resort.
A spa?
Yeah, like a spa resort. I think a lot of people, like we could attract a ton of people from, for the same reasons that we have a lot of logistical traffic going through the region on our interstates, we could also attract them for other things.